Alright, hello everyone, my name is Shep, welcome back to the Butcher Circus. Today we have a very special episode and this is going to be part of a mini-series. So we are doing a best of 10 against Mr. D, which means that the first to 5 wins takes a match. And you might be asking, wait Shep, isn't that a best of 9? Not in the Butcher Circus. In the Butcher Circus, I am deciding right now that if we do kind of like a round of, like a group of matches, and the end point is 5 wins, we're gonna call it a best of 10 rather than a best of 9, because I just think it looks cooler. So we are playing against Mr. D, this is the first match, and these are the matchups. So unfortunately for me, he went first, but I am not too concerned because in this matchup going first or going second doesn't really change all that much. It just means that I have a lot more dodge and that I don't have to go command round 1 if I actually want to hit my opponent. So in terms of what happened, there was an immediate Reign of Sorrows right there after a Retribution, so not going for any accuracy buffs, but still hits my doggy and hits my man-at-arms pretty hard. Now I just decided to go for the slam on the Crusader rather than the Flagellant because getting the Crusader to the back means that there won't be self-accusation for a while, and that's good. You see me pressing my mouse a little bit because I'm looking at the Holy Land's hit chances, and it shouldn't be too good of a hit chance. It was like a 70, but unfortunately still hit. So maybe somewhat of a misplay on my part not to go Block of Light first just to mitigate damage. I was kind of trying to avoid damage altogether. I was hoping that a Holy Lance wouldn't connect on either my Abomination, you know, the big doggy, or on the small doggy, the Houndmaster. So in terms of this matchup, the team I'm playing is called the Z Distress Comp, and it's a really solid team. It just has a hard time against Flagellants. Other than the Crusader, you don't really have any tool to deal with the Flagellant. You can play this team with a Flagellant instead of a Crusader, and that's Shep Stress. So you can play it that way. And this team usually has a better matchup against damage, but it can still handle itself relatively well against other teams. The biggest problem here is that there's a Flagellant, there's a Man-at-Arms with Retribution, but both of us can play that game. We're both using Retribution, we're both using the command buffs. I haven't used command yet because I decided to go Bolster first. I felt like it would have been a better play against a Flage, but now with the command buff and with the Crown of Thorns on that Flagellant, it's very, very unlikely that you'll actually miss a Reign of Sorrows or the Punish, and he's just gonna go for a Punish. Doesn't want to take too much damage on that Flagellant, and so just starts sticking away at my Abomination. And you can see all my characters are in a really rough position here because I want to go Houndsary, I want to go Self Accusation, I want to go Beast File, and I can't do any of these, and I mean any of these, without having to hit into that Man-at-Arms Riposte. And the Man-at-Arms Riposte with the Shield Spike Trinket, oh, it hurts. Even with 20% protection, it still hurts. But nonetheless, I still decide to go for Beast File because what else am I gonna do? I mean, I could stun the enemy Crusader, but I need to apply that Plight, I need to apply that Stress, I need to get Afflictions ASAP. If I actually want to win this, because I cannot play for too long, because there's an enemy Flagellant, he's just gonna start killing all my team, and not only that, the damage is gonna apply very, very quickly, and I don't have any big way of dealing with it. Mr. D here has Regen with the Antiquarian, which can deal with my damage comfortably, and also has Flagellant with those huge heals, so the advantage in terms of healing is definitely on his side. Not to mention the Crusader with Rally to the Flame, which is the same as what I have, but you know, those just kind of counter themselves out. Now there's going to be a Holy Lance on the Abomination, which is a very greedy play, but I can see the reasoning behind it. There was going to be a Holy Lance probably into a Festering Vapors, just trying to get the death blow. Killing this Abomination before the second transformation was very important here. But thankfully, because of the 20 prot, we don't take quite enough damage. I decide to still go Houndsary. I mean, there was a chance the Repulse would have missed, albeit very small. Probably like a 20% chance the Repulse would have missed, maybe a chance it wouldn't do enough damage, but with Shield Spike, it's unlikely that it won't do enough damage. That thing hurts, that thing absolutely hurts. But yeah, the fact that my Abomination is still alive on that 1 HP means that I will likely be able to transform and get the second round of horror in, which is super important if I actually want to win this, because I want to afflict the Flagellant, I want to do as much stress as possible. Now there's going to be another Zealous just to put my Abomination at 0 HP, and I cannot allow like 2 death blows to come in right now. I have to do something to prevent it. We also have 2 Riposte, but I mean, even if you Shield Spike Riposte the Antiquarian for like, even if I get a crit right now for 20 damage, which is about as much as you can get, she doesn't really care because I don't have a follow-up. I don't have a Flagellum to do more damage with Rain of Sorrows. The doggy can't reasonably go Hanseri, he has to start healing, and I don't have any other kind of reach to the backline, she's just gonna regen, so my riposts aren't as good as they look. They might look good, and yeah, we get a crit riposte for 19 on the Flagellum there, which is just one off from this store because of that 10% protection. And now a really important point in the match is going to come in. So I could have right now decided to go for Retribution on the Flagellant. I would for sure do 1 damage, and after that happens I would have 2 chances of getting a death on the Flagellant. That was an idea I could have gone for, but I decided to play it safer and I decided to go for a heal. Now in hindsight, if I went super aggressive, I would probably lose all my characters just the next turn because of the Antiquarian Festering Vapors, because I would have to go Retribution into the Flash, and then even if there would be a guard, Hansei would still get a Death Star check, and Slam would still get a Death Star check. So that would be a 20 and a 35. So really reasonable chances of killing the Flagellum. Maybe I should have gone for them, maybe I shouldn't have. But if I had done that, the Abomination would be at 0 HP without a riposte, the Doggy would be at 0 HP, and Festering Vapors would probably just kill both of them. And even with a Flagellum down, I felt like that wouldn't be sufficient. So I just decided to, you know, those chances weren't that great. And if they failed, I would have lost the match on the spot anyway. So I just decided to play it a little bit safer, keep all my characters in check, hope that the riposte kind of dissuades Mr. D from going Festering Vapors, and just take it from there. Here I go for, I think I'm gonna go for a heal right now, which is, I will claim it a misplay, because going for a heal isn't really gonna do much. I should have maybe played a little bit risky, just gone for the Slam first, take a Death Store check, and then heal, also wait out that bleed, because right now what's gonna happen is I'm just gonna get ticked down to Death Star again, and then I'll have to transform and, you know, have 0 HP, but then I won't have my action. Or either that, or I just delay my transformation for another turn, which isn't all that great. Sometimes you have to take risks, but when I was going for the heal, I also thought to myself, well, maybe if I get a crit heal, it would have been super worth it. Now, my opponent, albeit, is super lucky to actually do 9 damage there. That must have been a max roll, because I had 20 prot. They have a Rational, which is minus 10 damage. I have a Bellow debuff. Zealous doesn't do that much damage. I have no clue how they went and actually rolled a 9 on that, so that was pretty lucky. But right now, we have one major advantage here, which is that our Crusader is looking a lot better than their Crusader. Like, their Crusader is taking a bunch of stress, they're going to be at heart attack soon, and our Crusader is still at 50 stress, a lot of HP, and very unlikely to actually receive any bleeds from the Flagellant. And speaking of very unlikely to receive any bleeds from the Flagellant is about to act. I'm not sure if there's enough regen to actually get him out of that store. I don't believe there is. No, not quite. But now there's probably going to be either a Redeem or an Exsanguinate. So the rule of thumb is Redeems before Exsanguinates, especially when you're playing a prolonged match like this. Well, yeah, mostly when you're playing a prolonged match like this. Sometimes you have to Exsanguinate for tempo, so Mr. D decides to redeem to keep that Crusader alive, but I actually think that was a misplay. In this point, you should have gone Exsanguinate on the Crusader, because you had gotten a crit the previous round, which means that the Exsanguinate bleed chance was actually 120% against the Crusader's 70% resistance. That would have been a 50-50 of bleeding him for his entire health bar, essentially, and that would be my greatest advantage. Kind of just gone, because once the Crusader just starts getting to like 2 HP, 4 HP, like the really low numbers, of course he can keep healing, but against an Antiquarian Festering Vapors, he's gonna have to heal every round. If you have to heal every round, you're not going Zealous, and you're just gonna die eventually to stress. So going for that Exsanguinate, definitely the correct play, but not getting it, very, very lucky for me. Very, very lucky. Now, I have enough regen to counter the bleeds that I have on this doggy right now. I will be out of that store, but the one thing I am concerned about is that I will have to, if I go Hanseri, I will have to suffer a Death Store check from the Antiquarian by the start of next round, which, you know, I'm not too happy about, but it's something that we're gonna have to deal with. Sadly, I don't do quite enough stress with that Man-at-Arms. The Numbing Instance just coming in clutch, keeping him alive somehow, even against all the stress that I'm outputting. And now we have 2 characters at this store. I 100% don't want to give that Antiquarian any more reasons to go Festering Vapors. Just having a chance to kill my doggy is enough of a reason for her. And yeah, she's gonna go for that Festering Vapors, a dodge, and a crit riposte for 15. So that's a beautiful moment right there. A dodge and a crit riposte for 15. That's just amazing. Like, there's not even a Death Sword check on my doggy, and the act out from that actually missing. You know, I think the Flagellant just said some nasty things. Or maybe it was the Repulse. The Repulse crit actually caused stress on the MAA and forced him to go Afflicted, which is just awesome. So right now I go for maybe a little bit of a rush play. I decide to transform and go rush on the Crusader because I just want to get him out of the match with another Zealous. I kind of didn't look at the 12 points of regen on him and the fact that he had 35 Proton and I have Bellow Debuffs. So the reason I went for that was because, well, I didn't want to go Slam because I'd be unable to be Smile, and even if I gone Slam, if I went Slam on the Crusader, he would have been able to Holy Lance my doggy and get a death blow, which, I mean, I don't want to let my doggy die that easily. Zealous Accusation sucks too, but I didn't want my doggy to die just yet, not when I still have another round of Lick Wounds on him. In hindsight, I should have gone Slam on the Flagellant just to prevent his action from coming through. Even if I lose Beast Smile, I mean, I'm probably not going to have a chance to use Beast Smile. There's a repulse. That's just wishful thinking. Thinking that, oh, but I want to use Beast Smile. You're not going to have a chance to do that. You just need to make do with your actions. It's kind of like the same when you have a Jester and you just decide to go Dirk Stab rather than Harvest. Like, you're in position 3 with like, oh, but I need to get the finale off. The Jester sometimes just isn't going to survive until next round, but you still want to get the finale off. It's just not worth it. It is just not worth it. Sometimes you just have to go for the best play that round with the action that you have. So there's going to be a punish, kind of overkill on my Abomination, but it is going to get him afflicted, it is going to get him to Death's Door, and it's going to force me to react, essentially. I go Fearful, which isn't the greatest, but it's not the worst on the Abomination. I do think that we actually went Fearful on our Crusader, which is absolutely horrible, because being a Fearful Crusader means that we have minus 25% damage, and that kind of just makes Zealous Accusation tickle. And the good thing about Zealous is that, unlike Yawp and other stress counterparts, is that it actually does a lot of damage right now. But oh, look at that. Don't you just love to see it? The 0 damage. When I see that double roll for 0, I just think to myself, there is no way. I actually have a winning chance right here. I'm actually going to take this match because the Anti-Grind can't get kills. And that's just awesome. The reason she can't get kills is because all my characters have protection. Look at that Retribution causing the Crusader to actually have a heart attack right there because of the stress. I mean, Retribution doesn't do stress. It does if you crit, though. And the Crusader just has a heart attack, and now he's in a really rough spot. Because unless you click with the Flagellant, go for a Redeem, which I don't think you can because there's too much restoration. Unless you do that, you have to either go for a guard, which is a really weird play right now, because then the Hound's Heavy is probably just going to be a kill anyway, or you have to click and go for your final action, because after that there's just a Zealous coming, and he goes for that Zealous. I don't think there was any command buffs. Yeah, there probably weren't. I think the only buff he had was the crit from last round. So now the Crusader moves back, which, you know, there goes the Beast Smile I was hoping for, but I wasn't going to go Beast Smile to repulse it this time anyway. And yeah, the Crusader action is, I mean, the Crusader action was used, but the Crusader is now gone. The Flagellant is still alive, but he's at 175 stress. Like, some people underestimate how much stress the Crusader actually does, especially against the Flagellant, because when you're running against the Flagellant and you have Bellow, like, you're doing 3 stress per move. With Hound's Heavy, you're doing 5 stress if you have Crimson Hook. With the Anti-Crown, you're doing -2 stress. And with the Crusader, some people are like, oh, but it's only like 10 stress each action. Like, each Zealous Accusation, you're only doing like 10 stress. It's laughable. It isn't. Like, it's gonna add up. Not to mention that the first Zealous you do is actually gonna do 25 stress, because, like, you just go straight from 0 to 25. It's not gonna go from 0 to 15. So if you do actually have a chance to do that, I've seen that happen and actually be really good. I just go for Zealous, I get a crit, and then there's like 35 stress immediately. Now, you see me wiggling my mouse all over the place because I just realized I lost my greatest advantage because the Anti-Grind went abusive for some goddamn reason. Literally, the one affliction that gives you plus damage, and the Anti-Grind gets it. And I just think to myself, well, now I have to get another Bellow debuff on her to actually prevent her from doing damage, while I have to keep Retribution up, while I have to keep using Command, while my Man-at-Arms is almost dead. I mean, he's at the store, he's not dead just yet. And now you just have to look at my position here. Like, I don't want to go Manacles and fail the stun and heal the Flagellant stress. Like, come on, that's the last thing I want to do. I can't go Manacles on the Man-at-Arms because I'm literally gonna die. And also the stun chance is only 25%, and the damage is completely laughable. It is completely unimpactful. I was going to be fetching Vapors, rolls for 2 death blows, sadly kills a Man-at-Arms. I would have preferred it if the Abomination died here, because he's not useful at all as of right now. And my doggy goes abusive, so there goes my dodge, there goes my 5 accuracy, which means I actually have a chance of missing the Hound's Area now, so that sucks. Going abusive for my opponent was a great boon. Going abusive for me, not so much. And right now, this is the play that could turn the match. 6 and 9 damage on the Zealous Accusation. It rolls for minimum, and there's enough regen to counter the bleeds that I have. If I had rolled for 9, or if I had rolled for a crit, or if I hadn't rolled for Fearful, that flagrant right now would be dead, and this would be a 3v2. You can see me looking at my damage over there, minus 25% from Affliction. The somber Shepherd doggy just wiggling the mouse. I mean, I already knew something like this was going to happen. My damage just started tickling a couple rounds ago. So yeah, the Flagellant gets to stay alive, and here I think, okay, he's Rapturous, maybe he does something dumb. Well, he hits the Man-at-Arms, which is dumb, but then he heals him, so I guess just kind of a rough love situation right there. And yeah, the Man-at-Arms is at full HP, the Flagellant is at full HP, he still has another Redeem, I think, and he still has 2 Exsanguinates, so to kill that Flagellant, I'm gonna need a lot of luck. And I just decide to click my Abomination here before I die to Retribution, and I just go Beast Smile. I mean, what else can I do? I can't reasonably go for a stun. I'm gonna be healing Stress. I need to do Stress if I actually want to kill that Flag. And dealing with the Man-at-Arms, the only thing I can do is Beast Smile and just hope that I get lucky with the Death Stores. I mean, I'm not about to pass, because some people like to pass. I don't think passing is ever a good move. I mean, there was a reason, kind of an idea to go past, as if the Crusader Corpse was going away, and then I could stun the Antiquarian. So just keeping my Death Store checks alive for a little bit longer would have been ideal there. But now there's going to be a Retribution, gets the Death Blow. The Abomination is now gone, and this is a 2v3. It's not looking too handy for the Shepherd doggy right here. My Crusader is also slowly but surely ticking down closer to Death Store, but not all is lost. I still have a lot of tools at my disposal, like the 25 dodge that I still have somehow working, even though I went abusive. But it's just that the Antiquarian, she's fine, you know, she's fine. And she gets the Death Blow right there, and now it's the 1v3, and the 1v3 against the Flagellant, you have to get really lucky. I'm gonna go for the Zealous Accusation right now. I have one chance of winning, which is if this Zealous does enough stress that the Horror gets him down to a heart attack, or if maybe I got a crit there. If I had dealt like 3 more points of damage, the Flagellant would be dead. Can you imagine that? Again, if I had dealt 3 more points of damage, the Flagellant would again be dead. But I just can't do anything about it. Also, don't think of commenting, you know, I could have gone Manacles, it would have done that 3 points of damage, you would have healed 10 stress. Remember about that. So yeah, that's round 1 gone. That's a win for Mr. D, so kind of a bad start to a best of 5, but it was indeed like a well-won match for Mr. D. You played that perfectly, about as well as you can with a team like that. Definitely a solid team right there with the shield spike and with the Antiquarian, with the Flagellant, of course. Like, just solid team. And now we are playing with the Goliath comp against something that I think only Mr. D plays, actually. I think I've only ever seen him play this exact setup, which is a Flagellant Bounty Hunter, a Houndmaster, and then an Arbos. It's a pretty interesting setup because, you know, it has a Flagellant's OP, and it has 2 actual, like, characters that can hit with the mark. So here, a very interesting play. So I went second, which I hate with this team. You want to go first every single time with this team. Even if you're playing against maximum dodge, you still want to go first because you have Battle Valid. So I go second, and there's an immediate guard on the Bounty Hunter. Now, why is the reason behind that? Well, the reason behind that, since I went second, I'm gonna have a harder time killing the Flagellant. I'm gonna have a harder time, like, surprising him with a chop. And, of course, if I can surprise the Flagellant with damage, that means that the only character left for me to kill too easily is that Bounty Hunter. And the Bounty Hunter is the most important character in Mr. D's team, because he's the only one that actually has a finisher, he's the only one that can go for pulls, he's the only one that can go for confirmed kills. Now, there's going to be a punish here, that's a crit, so I'm very unhappy about that crit, you know, immediately 11, not even a confirmed chance of getting a bleed in the first place, but you know, just immediate 11 crit, and I just decide to go revenge, like, but Shep, you're making the bleed hit even harder. I mean, I am, but yeah, there's gonna be another crit here, so the crit chances are going wild. I think it was like a 17 and now a 44% chance, so very likely, but I just have to go for a heal here. There's nothing else you can do other than just accept that your eyeballs just got 100 to 0'd, and you just have to keep trying to make it work. So you might be questioning my early decision to go immediately Holy Lance, but you have to go immediately Holy Lance. You can't let the Flagellant just bully your Arbalest, because then she's gonna die way too fast, and you don't want her to die way too fast. After one character is gone, against a team like Mr. D's, where there's a guard, there's a heal in the form of the Arbalest, and the Flagellant can still do somewhat healing. I mean, his Flagellant doesn't have Reclaim, he has Suffer instead, which is interesting, and totally useless this match, but okay. Yeah, that's just how it goes. So there's going to be a Hound's Rush. I just decide to heal with the Arbalest immediately. And now, what I'm hoping for, what I'm really hoping for, is that this Sniper Shot, it definitely does enough damage, but I'm hoping for Rally to the Flame to actually heal for enough stress right now, because if it does, it would be wonderful. I also have a play in going Dirk Stab first, because then there would be a Come Hither, and with the Come Hither, it's only 50% chance of getting a death blow, and then I could heal. But I still didn't want to do that, so I was expecting there to be a finish him right now, but I was actually a little bit surprised there wasn't. There was just a pull. Like, if either of those pulls failed, which both of them were 75% chances, if either of them failed, I would have been in a very comfortable position this match, but sadly that's not the case. Here, I see my hit chances, I see my damage chances and my crit chances. They're all really good, but I don't do enough damage to the Flagell. Now there's going to be a punish. He gets a crit for 15, so absolute overkill. 2 kills with the Flagell. I did just drop him closer to death's door, so he got 7 crit out of that and 20 damage, but that's my Arbalest at death's door, and that is also the enemy Flagell to death's door. So kind of a problem with running that Crown of Thorns is that I do way more damage to you, and I get pretty lucky with the Jester's Dark Stab roll. However, I didn't get lucky at all with the chop. It did almost minimum damage, so let's not chalk that up to luck, because I don't think that's really what's happening here. I haven't gotten a single crit the entire match. The one thing I got of lucky was that right there. So you see those 2 messages. It was Mr. D saying, please don't crit. And it was, and then after the crit with the finish him, removing the Arbalest corpse, he said the F word. It was really funny, and right now I have a decision to make. I can go for the Dark Stab, which is a 55 death blow, or you can go for the finale, which is a confirmed kill, right? You can't take the risk. I have to take the risk. So the thing is, right now, the way this match is going, my Leper is kind of taking down to death's door, essentially. There's still a 3v3, and I don't think that if I had gone for a finale right there, I would have won this match. Like, not any day of the week, because Mr. D's team is still here. Like, the 3 most important characters, the ones that can still easily get kills against my side, they're all here, they're all chilling. Now, there's going to be a target whistle, which is going to reduce my prot, whatever there was against, against Piercing Quarrel, there's no protection that's going to save you. But yeah, I'm also getting closer to the store. Here I think of clearing the corpse. That was an idea, but I just think maybe it's not going to help me all that much. I go for a chop, one off that Houndmaster. I am going to say getting a 30 was pretty lucky. It was definitely a high roll, especially against that 15% protection. Not getting a crit, I mean, if I had gotten a crit, I would have been very happy, but you know, what can you do? Now I'm just going to go for a heal, and this sniper is going to be in the crosshairs of both that doggy and the bounty hunter and the Arbalest for the next like couple actions like crazy. So there's going to be Hound's Rush, and even if I heal with the Leper right now, I mean, I am going to heal with the Leper, I think. There's going to be a really smart play, which I can't remember exactly what I did, but there's going to be a really smart play. Oh, I think I remember what I did. Yeah, so this is the super smart play, the super brainy play, because I actually can go Rally to the Flame here. What happens is that if you go Sniper Shot, then sure, you're still going to do enough damage. You would have still done enough damage against the Solemnity heal, but if you go Sniper Shot first, and I'm going to use Solemnity, and then you can't do enough damage with the Bounty Hunters finish him. So that is definitely a great play by me, so congratulations Shep, you played well. But that is going to come to another disadvantage, that Mr. D actually has another play to go for right now. There's actually going to be a pull on the Crusader, believe it or not. It's going to get a crit, so that's also plus damage for Blood versus Marked for that Bounty Hunter. That could come in clutch. And here I just decide to, you know what? That's giving my leper a free action by going finale. That's removing the Houndmaster from the match without having to go through too much hassle. I think that's the only chance I can go for right now. So a dumber person would have gone for a sniper shot on the leper. Like, he's bleeding out to death, so you don't have to sniper shot him. You just go for free damage on the Jester. And the thing is, like, Arbalest without Mark still almost one-shots your character. Like, it wasn't a one-shot, Shep, it was one-off on the damage. Come on, it wasn't a one-shot. Yeah, okay, the Jester is still a whiff away from being at this door. Like, it's not great. So I click my leper here, I go for the other Solemnity heal. I must say, I haven't gotten a crit Solemnity or Absolution, which is the Abominations one, in so long that I can't remember the last one. I mean, it would have been lovely if that happened, but yeah, now there's going to be Caltrips. All my characters are going to start taking the Death Star, which is an amazing play by Mr. D, mind you, because that's going to give him a free action to take that Jester down to 0 HP, and it's going to give him permanent damage on my Crusader and Leper, especially the Crusader. Because if you can start taking away at the Crusader earlier, that's great for you. So right now I get to just drop Harvest. It's never a confirmed chance of getting a bleed, it's only a 65 against the Bounty Hunter, so if that failed, I would have been very, very sad. But we do get it to roll and actually do enough. Actually, have I gotten a single crit this match? Let's review the match. Have I gotten a single crit? No, I have not. With this team that gets a lot of crits, I have not gotten a single crit this match. Mr. D has 2 crits on his characters. What the hell's going on? It's okay. I think so far the match has still been reasonably decent. And right now I have a few plays to go for. Now the thing is, I know that my leper is in a rough spot because of that Jester. Like, if I was undazed, I probably could have gone back with just moving back. But I think that the biggest problem here is that we're also taking down to Caltrops and actually dropping down to 0 HP. I think that Come Hither just did way too much damage. I think it rolled for 3. And so I can't really do too much about it. Look at that, 45 damage. Not a crit, by the way. And no, I no longer have the healing skill. So I do 17 damage with my chop. The nuke idea didn't work. My idea was to move back, get Chop to do enough damage to drop the Bounty Hunter down to Death Star, like get a crit out of it, finally, but no crits. And then not only that, it pretty much almost wall rolls, and then the Jester Dirk Stab literally roll rolls. So even with both of that moves, and with the bleed, we're not taking him down to 0. Now there is a crit. The crit is helpful. The crit is going to give me a chance to win this match. And let's address the elephant in the room. I still have a Crusader. Like, Crusader is awesome, right? But we are down a considerable margin here because we are going to go for that Sacred Blade stun. And the biggest problem that we actually have right now isn't the Arbalest being able to heal. It isn't the Bounty Hunter still being alive, curing the bleeds, and my Jester being at this sword. The biggest problem I actually have right now is my Crusader not having Brass Knuckles. So this is literally the only team in which I bring a Crusader with Glorious Banner rather than Brass Knuckles. And the biggest problem with that is that you miss out on 10% damage, and you miss out on 20% stun chance, and 20% stun chance is always useful. It means that you get stuns where you wouldn't normally get them. And right now, well, I have to go for a Death Blow, right? I mean, there's just no world where I don't go for a Death Blow, and if I want to go for the Death Blows, it's going to be with Crusader. I just decide, you know, if I get a 20% stun, that would have been great, but yeah, I don't get the 20% stun. Also, you might be wondering, well, if Brass Knuckles is so good, why don't you bring it? Not on this team. Not on this team. This team needs the supportive Crusader, the Crusader that can actually stay in position 3 for a while and still be really useful. It just needs him. Now, I do get pretty lucky here. I drop that Bounty Hunter down to 0. With the Dirk Snap, I somehow do 8 damage with it on a 5 to 9, so finally a little bit of luck on my side. Remember, I still haven't gotten a single crit this match, but now I get to go for a Death Blow here with the Crusader. So look at my HP. I have 36 HP, that's almost my entire health bar. All the damage I have taken so far has been Caltrops, literally all of it. And now there's gonna come a Bola. 9 damage with that Bola. 9 damage, that is a lot. You can just bypass my protection with it, and an extra 2 from Caltrops, so I'm already down to 25. The second Death Sword check actually kills the Bounty Hunter, so that's great. And now there's going to be another Bola and 13, 9 and 13. Look at those damage rolls. Now I'm just gonna, like, the Arbalest is in a weak position. This is a weak position, but look at those damage rolls. But now is when the game changes. So you know how stuns are all fun and balanced and all that? Well, they are really fun and balanced when you let the Crusader survive to the end of the match with Sacred Blade, and the only thing you have left is an Arbalest with 10% base stun resistance. So if I had Brass Knuckles right now, the match would be over. Literally, my chance of getting the double stun would be an 80%, and against an 80% chance of getting a double stun, you just can't win. So I go for each time it's going to be a 60 when there's a plus 50% stun resistance. And you might be wondering like, oh, this is so unfair, this should never happen, the Witcher Circuit is unfair, stuns are broken. This needs to happen. This needs to happen. The characters with low stun resistance, the low stun resistance is there so they resist double stuns, not so they resist the main stun. If you want to resist stuns, you need to bring a character with big stun resistance, you need to bring numbing instants, you need to bring those trinkets. Like, stun isn't that good. If stun fails, your entire offense fails. People often fail to see this, because stuns are good, especially for the end game situations, but throughout the match, while they are useful, if they just fail, and they're always very risky, you're never going to get like a 100% chance of getting a stun, and 100% chance of hitting the stun, unless you have a lot of setup for it. And if you have a lot of setup for it, like Battle Bound, you have both stun trinkets, you're going to be missing out on a lot of other stuff. And sometimes you don't have time to go for Battle Bound, sometimes you don't have a chance to use Jester in your stun teams, but regardless of that, we are stun locking this Arbalest, and we are just pummeling her to death with the stuns. 60% chance each and every time. Even though my Crusader is down to 0 HP from all the Caltrips bleeds, she is gone. And that's a wrap. So that's actually going to be 1-1, and we will continue this best of 5 with this best of 10 with Mr. D tomorrow, and we are both at a 1-1 basis. So definitely be on the lookout. Definitely watch tomorrow's video, because I think this is going to heat up even more, even with how great these two matches were. So somehow I managed to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat with this Crusader, winning that 1v2, and I only got crits at the very end of the match, but they were very useful. Getting those crits gave me an extra 20% chance of getting the stun, and that extra 20% chance of getting the stun, the extra little bit of damage, was very, very impactful. Just let my Crusader take the W. So I hope y'all enjoyed the matches, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Cheers.